Ernest Goes to Africa. Ernest P. Worrell was a big part of my childhood. Ernest Scared Stupid specifically. I used to watch that all the time. I still love that movie. I think it's great. I'll probably do a video on it at some point in the future. There's a lot of movies in the Ernest universe, most of which I have never seen. I've seen Ernest Goes to Jail, Ernest Scared Stupid, Ernest Goes to Camp, even though I don't really remember much about that one at all. Ernest Goes to Africa, I believe, was one of the last ones that they made. I've seen a lot of clips of this one online, and it seems like it aged pretty goddamn poorly. So obviously I had to check it out. Let's see if Ernest Goes to Africa is like a silent sleeper hit, or if it's really as as everybody says it is. Let's go. We find ourselves in Central Africa. A tribe has a man captured, assuming they're probably going to eat him. While the tribe is carrying this man up to their village, a white guy sneaks in. He goes up to this statue and he starts popping the eyeballs off of the statue. The tribe catches him in the act and they give chase. He runs out into a field where there's an airplane that's already on its way taking off. He's grabbing a hold of it, but the plane seems to be going too fast for him. The pilot says, "Here, hand me the jewels." He does, and then the pilot is like, "See you later, sayonara, sucker, you fell for it." Oldest trick in the book. Plane takes off and leaves our boy behind, where I can only assume he's about to be devoured by human beings. We switch to Ohio. Ernest is working at an auto shop. He's in a woman's car, and this woman is so pissed off at him. He's spouting off nonsense to her about what's wrong with it. In his words, women seldom understand these things. He's throwing shit out of it left and right, wires and all kinds of parts. He throws something out of it, and it catches on some kind of lever, which starts raising the car up towards the ceiling. This is a classic Ernest bit. You know, he's stuck in a thing that he can't get out of, and he's about to be maybe killed. Who knows? In this movie, we can only hope that that would happen so early. He finally does get it to stop, but of course, it just keeps going, and it smashes this woman's car completely with him in it. And he gets fired, of course. We're in a diner. There's two waitresses. One's talking about how she just needs to find Mr. Right. She cannot find her Prince Charming, and she needs somebody to come sweep her off her feet, take her on adventures. She honestly kind of looks like Ernest. She talks about Ernest like he's just some ordinary schmo. He's doing a lot of funny faces, physical comedy. This is classic Jim Varney stuff here. Her name is Renee. Ernest has a crush on her, and he talks to the other waitress about, you know, how am I going to get her to like a guy like me? She says you can charm her by getting her a gift, make her something. So he goes to an outdoor market where he wreaks all kinds of havoc. He can't help himself, you know, he's touching shit. He gets his finger stuck in a birdhouse. Some guy is being pursued through this market by agents from the Matrix. He has the bag with the eyes of a goalie, I think is what they're called. They're the gemstones that were stolen at the beginning. And he puts them into a bucket of junk, assuming he'll just outrun these guys, come back later and get it, obviously. He gets caught and they beat him up, asking where these eyes are. Then two dudes show up and they beat those guys' asses. One of them is named Thompson. The other guy that's with him is named Bazoo. Back at the bucket of junk that the eyes were hidden in, who's gonna find it? Of course, Ernest. Thompson and Bazoo have this guy that they've captured in their car, and they're threatening him with a snake. They're asking him, you know, where are the eyes? We need the eyes back. I stole the eyes from this one guy, then you stole the eyes from me. I want the eyes back. He tells them where he left them, and then they dump more snakes in the car. Now we're at Ernest's house, which is insane. It's very Pee Wee Herman, and he's looking at these eyes and trying to figure out, you know, what could I make out of these things? And he's doing a lot of gags, which just aren't that funny. There was one where he super glues something to his lip. I kind of like that one. It made me laugh. He decides he's going to make a yo-yo out of these eyes. Thompson and Bazoo go to the market. They find out the jewels have been taken. He's in the house around with this yo-yo that he made, and he ends up killing his goldfish with his garbage disposal. Everybody eventually has figured out that Ernest is the guy who has these jewels, and they're all casing his place, trying to figure out who is this guy. He must be important. He's probably some kind of an agent. He then goes to the diner to give Renee her gift, this yo-yo that he made. All these guys are watching him thinking, well, she must be an agent too. This is who he's handing the eyes off to. Both are being considered as very dangerous spies or agents. I don't know. Ernest tries to ask Renee out, and she turns him down, saying, you know, you're an average guy. I need somebody who's more adventurous. Which to me seems kind of crazy. Ernest has been on a ton of adventures throughout all the movies that I've seen. I mean, he went to jail. He met Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He was in the army. He fought a damn troll. Wait, are Ernest movies disconnected? Is there an Ernest multiverse? Is this Ernest a variant of other Ernests we've seen? We go back to Africa where we see a very flamboyant white guy who I think is not supposed to be white, named Kazim. They tell him, hey, somebody else that we don't know has the eyes of a goalie, and he is so pissed off. Renee gets kidnapped by the goons. They tie her up on a forklift and they're questioning her. They have her call Ernest, and they get on the line and tell him, like, hey, get over here with the eyes or we're going to kill her and you. So he goes to the hangar that they've got her in, and they are calling him Agent 34, and they take them, put them into a plane and fly them to Africa. He's put into the back of a truck, and of course the truck conveniently opens up. Ernest falls out, and then he falls off of a bridge into a crocodile river. But they still have Renee though. They take her to some kind of country club. They tie her up in a room. I didn't like these scenes very much. Another thing about this movie is there's a lot of scenes of two characters talking. For a kid's movie, it's pretty heavy on exposition and explaining what these characters are trying to do. I was having trouble following it. I didn't care. Ernest encounters a crocodile in the river. He sticks his fingers into its nose and a big old line of snot comes out. That was kind of fun. He steals some towels off of a line and he dresses up and goes to the country club. This is where the movie starts to kind of do some stuff that I would say haven't aged very well. He's doing brownface here. Full blown. He's got the Indian accent on. He goes by the name of Hey You. To be quite honest, it's just not that funny at all. And the worst part is that he keeps his character up for a lot longer than it should. Like, I was pretty sick of it. He encounters Thompson as this Hey You character. Thompson's trying to order a drink from him, and it's like, how do you not know that this is Ernest? Like, you kidnapped and brought this guy to Africa. He looks just like him. He's wearing towels, for God's sake. Ernest finally finds a room where he can change into a different, much more appropriate character. His old lady character with a neck brace, love this one. And he walks into the room where Renee is being held captive. He uses this old woman to spin some tale to distract Bazoo until he eventually is able to knock him out. And they both escape into a golf cart. And Renee is jazzed. She's pretty pumped up right now. She thinks Ernest is really awesome for rescuing her. Thompson and Bazoo, once they figure out they're gone, they hop in a car to chase after him. They drive this golf cart well into the nighttime. Renee tasks Ernest with finding firewood, which he's kind of freaked out, like, oh, this is the bush. There's all kinds of creatures out here. Classic Ernest montage of, here's all the gadgets that I have, and I'm going in with this. This part was pretty fun. I like this stuff, and I love these old, like, you know, things that they make, these costumes and stuff. After they get a fire going, Renee is still pretty smitten with Ernest, and she's telling him, you know, how brave he was, and she tries to kiss him, but he's such an idiot that I don't know, he's like talking about a movie or something, totally blows it. They wake up in the morning, both of them have slept in the golf cart. She slept in the seat, but he slept folded up on the top for some dumbass reason. He gets off, and of course he does this long drawn out bit about how he can't get around to the golf cart. There's also elephants around them, and they're in the way, and it just goes on for so long about how he can't get into this golf cart, and I hated it. They're making their way across the savannah. At this point, Ernest mentions something about being in Vietnam, which, like, I didn't know that he was a veteran. I know he was in the army in one movie, but I didn't know that he was, like, in Vietnam. Salute the troops. He's eating leaves off of a branch, and Renee tells him, like, that's poison ivy, and he's like, yeah, I knew that. He gets this rash, like his mouth swells up a bunch and he's got these red bumps. I thought this was pretty good. I liked this. But at this time, Bazoo and Thompson, they've located them and they see them, so they're headed up to capture them. They stop at a small village, and Ernest gets out and he says, Renee, let me handle this. I know these guys, and you just got to know how to talk to them. And he walks up to these dudes and he starts talking in slang. It's pretty cringe, but it did kind of make me laugh. He keeps going. We're getting subtitles of what they're saying, and they're like, we should dismember him. We should kill him. Like, this guy, he's an idiot, and he's babbling off nonsense. Until eventually they get sick of that, and they hit him on the head with a club. You know, a little blunt force trauma, shut the guy up. The Matrix guys show up. They chloroform Renee. Ernest is on the ground dying from a head injury. They take her to Kazim's palace, where they put her out by the pool. She's dressed up in this kind of like, I don't know what you'd call this, Jasmine from Aladdin garb. Kazim comes up to her and says, like, well, if you're not going to cooperate now, you know, you will be eventually. And then he makes this highly suggestive motion with his hand around a golf club, like it's his This movie is kind of f***ed up. There's a lot of like essay stuff happening in it that just is really uncomfortable to watch. Back at the village, Ernest has woken up. He's recovered from his head injury and he's actually made friends with everybody. They f***ing love this guy. He's got a new girlfriend. She's kissing all over him. I don't know what changed in that time frame, but I mean, yeah, he's the man now. He asks him where Renee went. They tell him, so he heads towards the palace. They tell all of the ladies, hey, come up. It's time to perform for Kazim. Ernest is there. He notices what's going on, so he changes into a new disguise, and he is dressed like one of these ladies. All the women begin dancing for Kazim, and Ernest is not privy to whatever the choreography is of this dance, which makes him stand out. But Kazim's really into it. This dude is about to bust watching Ernest dance around like an idiot. He likes what he sees so much that he has him come up and sit next to him, and he's feeding him all kinds of different foods like grapes and a sandwich and turkey legs. But eventually he's had enough. He gets so excited he can't take it anymore, so he pulls the mask down and he kisses Ernest right on the lips, at which point he starts freaking out. A basket of snakes gets dumped over in the room. Basket of snakes? Like, why? Renee and Ernest escape in the panic. Thompson meets the villagers that Ernest met and asks them, where did this guy go? They're walking along the road trying to hitch a ride, and a guy pulls up in a truck and he's like, yeah, hey ladies, get on in. Total creep. They hate this guy. They knock him out and just take over the truck. The agents show up in another car. They start shooting. The truck was loaded down with ostrich eggs. He just starts throwing them. He makes a catapult out of a bra. He somehow manages to knock out every one of these guys who all have guns with ostrich eggs. The worst part about this whole scene is that, again, it drags on for way too long. The music is terrible. It could have been exciting and fun, but it's just not. It's just Ernest launching ostrich eggs at a car 5 feet away from him out of a bra. It stinks. Thompson and Bazoo show up at Kazim's. He's buried the agents who lost Ernest and Renee in the ground. They're about to be kicked by a rhino, I guess. I'm assuming that they die. Thompson and Kazim strike a deal. Thompson's gonna find them. We'll bury this whole mess. Renee and Ernest drive until they run out of gas, and they start walking. Thompson and crew end up finding a piece of her clothing, and they're like, shit. In this area, they're probably dead. We're never gonna find them, and we're never gonna find those eyes. They keep walking and doing bits, and I am super bored. This movie is just so lazy and unfunny, and I mean, I gotta hand it to the actors. They're all doing their best. They're trying, but it's just not good. Earlier it seemed like Renee was really digging Ernest. He's now saved her life twice, but now she's kind of like not hot on Ernest anymore, which I mean, I understand. I don't know how anybody could like Ernest in this movie. They come to a river and Renee's like, there's no way that we're getting across this. But then she has an idea. She takes her pants off and they blow them up. They're going to use them to float across the river until Ernest pops them on a giant thorn, because of course he does. From there, they just follow the river until they come to a bridge that's full of cannibals, which is kind of funny what they end up saying to them. Ernest says, oh, don't worry about it. I know these guys, thinking these are the same guys that he met before. This is the tribe from the beginning of the movie. They are super stoked because this is going to be a feast. 2 white people. They're getting the pot ready to cook them. They tell him to empty their pockets out, and of course Ernest just has a ton of bullshit falling out of his, until he takes out the yo-yo and he starts doing tricks, and they love it. They start putting on a show. Everybody's eating it up. They're going crazy. Meanwhile, Thompson and crew have made it into the tribe's territory. Bazoo is like, dude, no way. I'm not going in there. First of all, it's forbidden, and also they'll fucking kill us. Thompson heads in by himself. The tribe loves him now. I guess they're in charge or something. Ernest proposes that the high priest marry both of them, and they're like, sure. And then he pulls out a machete and says that they have to do fertility rites. I don't know, I guess they're gonna cut his dick off or something. Thompson shows up. He tells the tribe, hey, that guy right there, the guy you just made king, he's the one who stole the eyes. He says they need to have a battle of truth, which is gonna be a battle between Ernest and Thompson to the death. Whoever wins, that means that's the guy who was right. You get to live. Thompson comes out looking like Walmart Mortal Kombat. He picks up a machete as his weapon. Ernest has to pick from all the stuff that was in his pocket. So he's got like a sandwich and a teddy bear and just a bunch of shit. Renee is in a trap that's over the pot and it's slowly going down. Ernest uses a table to kind of hide from Thompson, and Ernest distracts him so much that he knocks him with a salami log. Thompson gets back up and he seems to have Ernest cornered. He's hammering it with knuckle sandwiches. And then Ernest uses the yo-yo to beat Thompson. In the final moments of the battle, the yo-yo breaks. The tribe sees that these are in fact the eyes of a goalie. They're stoked. Ernest saves Renee from being cooked. Fade to black. Back at home in Ohio, Ernest is back on his bullshit. Ernest and Renee are supposed to go on a date, and he shows up with another gift, an ostrich egg that he painted for her. And she says, Ernest, I'm just gonna have to turn you down. I think what I really need is just some ordinary schmo, and you're just way too adventurous and crazy for me. I could never, ever live the lifestyle that you do. Ernest gives some dumbass monologue about he's unbothered by it, and then ends up smashing the ostrich egg on his head. And that's the end. As I said before, this movie is dull and lazy. I had heard that this one was really bad, but I figured it was just because of the brown face and all the racist stuff. But it turns out, no, it's just bad. It's just not a good movie. It's not enjoyable. There's so many times where they'll start a bit or a gag that like has potential to be kind of funny, but they drag it out for so long that it kills anything that was funny about it. And from the other Ernest movies that I've seen, this one is totally lacking in like charm and the fun that usually tends to come with them. It's not here. The actors are trying, they're doing their damnedest to make it work, but it's just not enough to really save this movie or make it any good at all. I do not recommend watching Ernest Goes to Africa. I would stay away from this. It's not even so bad that it's good. I'm telling you. Do not watch this movie. It stinks. But what do you think? Have you seen Ernest Goes to Africa? Let me know your thoughts and opinions. Maybe you have some kind of nostalgia for this movie that I don't have that makes it good to you. Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.